So, about a month ago, I saw all over Twitter this manga called Is Love the Answer? It was a manga about an asexual woman learning about what it means and her journey to discovering it. This manga very much so intrigued me for multiple reasons that I will get into in this video later, but it was awesome in the sense that asexual people don't get anywhere near as much representation as they deserve. It can be pretty hard to even do research on it and try to discover for yourself if you are asexual. It's almost like a taboo for some reason. So it was awesome to finally see a story where the main character and the main focus of the story is all about asexuality. I want to get talking about this manga as it affected me on a deep level. But before doing that, if you find yourself liking this video by the end, maybe think about leaving a like on this video and subscribe as well, it helps out a ton. Anyway, let's get talking about the themes in this series and how it affected me. This manga does an incredible job at having the main character be relatable as fuck. I am sure almost any asexual person can relate to the things going on in this manga. Chika does a really good job at asking the hard questions to herself. These are things I myself have said and questioned about myself, and it really hit home to see this portrayed and portrayed well in this story. Chika questions why she isn't normal, why she can't be like everyone else around her. But then it gets real and the professor asks her what even is normal in the first place, and this hit really hard for me. I have been in that self-deprecating loop before where I always was wondering why I was so different from everyone else and why I couldn't be normal. I had to figure this out on my own, but having this manga tell its main character that in a very direct way and have her figure it out really hit close to home. You can really see the realization in Chika as the story starts to come to its conclusion that she is who she is and that is okay. Why doesn't anyone understand me? That is something that a lot of people struggle to answer. Of course, for Chika, she is asking this because she wants to understand herself but has no one there to help her. Asexuality is something that isn't talked about a lot and is hard to really come to a conclusion about. So of course, most people aren't going to understand. It is hard for asexual people to understand. The world needs to do a better job at understanding and portraying asexuality like they have been with the other LGBT groups in recent years. Asexual people deserve to have their voices heard and their experiences shared. Once this starts happening, I know it will be much easier for asexual people to understand themselves and for others to understand them. Why don't I feel anything towards anyone? If you have ever asked yourself this question, then you are probably asexual. With all the people around you getting into relationships and talking about them, it can certainly make you self-conscious and start questioning yourself. This question is a hard one to get an answer to as there isn't really anything to answer. As you ask these questions, you start to come to an understanding about yourself that can help you in life. This is a question that I have certainly asked myself before. If you know anything about boys, and sometimes even some men, they all like to talk about women in a sexual way, whether it's their partners or just somebody they find attractive. And this has always made for a very awkward conversation for me as I don't really get that. I can recognize when someone is objectively attractive, both men and women, but I don't really feel anything towards those people. So when you constantly hear it and get asked about it, it's kinda disgusting, well, at least for me. I don't like when people talk about this stuff, and it always forces me to give an awkward laugh and a smile and just let them ramble on because I don't want to be seen as the weird one. It sucks, but that is how I live my life. That is why this question can really affect your life in a lot of ways. As a connoisseur of romance, this may come off as weird to say, but I have always wondered why does everyone worry so much about falling in love and finding a partner? Don't get me wrong, I've been there, I'm not Arrow, at least not fully, but it still comes off as weird to me that there are some people out there who can't function on their own without needing a partner, or how there are people who will constantly pressure you into getting into a relationship. That stuff has always just really confused me as to why people obsess over it. In high school, I feel like there was a lot of pressure around me to find a girlfriend and fall in love. Eventually, I did get a girlfriend, but it didn't work out. Looking back, I can say it was definitely my fault. I didn't love her like a girlfriend and continued to treat her like a friend, and that was a problem. Which honestly, I still don't fully get, but I can somewhat understand why I was in the wrong. There are so many scenes in this manga that are relatable, but one of the most relatable is when Chika is in a big group of people and they start talking about romance. It's fine to talk about yourself, and I can even answer you just fine if it's about yourself. But once the conversation shifts to me, it gets extremely awkward. And that was the same for Chika in this manga. It is awkward as hell to talk about that stuff with your friends, especially when they always expect you to have an answer. Back in high school, I would constantly be asked who I had a crush on or who I thought was hot, but I never really had an answer because there was no one. So it always got awkward and eventually I just said whatever to get them off my back. That kind of stuff doesn't happen as often now that I'm an adult, but it can still feel very awkward to talk about myself in that sense, and you can see that it is the same in this manga as well. Chika very quickly realizes that just because she is in college now doesn't mean that people are going to be more mature and to be able to understand you. Sometimes people just don't get it and say stuff that they shouldn't. Now, this might be relatable to everyone and not just asexual people, but there are times when you feel something and you have no idea what it is that you're feeling. Like, it might not even be a romantic thing, but you sometimes feel this way and you don't know why. That even happened with Chika in this manga, and it is portrayed beautifully. She has no idea what it is that she is feeling, she just knows that she doesn't want her friend to just disappear on her. She always wants to be by their side and continue to get advice from them. This scene is amazingly done in this manga and is easily the most relatable thing in the series for everyone, not just asexual people. This manga has one scene that I can't personally relate to, but it still pissed me off all the same, so I have to talk about it. So there's this one scene where Chika is in a giant group of people talking about romance, and when it gets to her turn, she doesn't really have anything to say, which so far that is relatable. But then one of the asshats in the group says that she must have a mental illness if she has never been attracted to someone or had those types of thoughts about someone. And honestly, the fact that this is in the story means that there are people out there who genuinely think this way, and if you do, you're an asshole. Being asexual is not a mental disorder and it shouldn't be treated as one. Asexual people are normal people who want to live their lives and they still want connections with people, just not necessarily in the same way as most people. And as a society, we need to be able to accept this fact and let these people live their lives and stop bothering them. This goes hand in hand with something else. If anyone has ever told you you're weird for not being attracted to other people, they are wrong. You are not weird. You are a normal person who is just a little different from everyone else, and don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise, because otherwise I will beat them up for you. I hate how people just say shit because they don't understand a person and don't want to understand. If we could all come together as a group and accept each other, the world would be a much better place. There was one thing said in this manga as I was reading it that I thought was really stupid if people actually believe this. I don't remember exactly where in the manga it is said, or even the exact wording used, but it essentially said that men need to like sex or be more dominant. Again, I don't know the exact wording, but either way, this is really fucking stupid. It just goes to show that if there are people out there who actually think like this, that they are really fucking ignorant and don't understand the world or people. Because even with straight men, not all of them want sex all the time, and not all of them are the dominant type either. There are some men out there who are meek and not like that. And that is totally fine, and shouldn't be questioned. There is so much to understand about asexuality, and it can be hard to find things out about it. I was doing a lot of research on this for years, and I still don't think I fully understand everything. Asexuality is kind of avoided in comparison to the other LGBT groups, and so it can be hard to find things out about it. One of the things I only learned a few years ago was that asexuality is a spectrum. I always knew there was something off about me in particular, as I have never had an attraction to someone in my personal life, and I don't even think about that stuff on an everyday basis, but I do consume 18+ material from time to time. And I always assumed that I can't be asexual if I do that. Maybe I just haven't found the right person. But after learning that asexuality is a spectrum and reading stories of other asexual people in the same boat as me, I realized that I am probably asexual and have identified as such ever since. Learning as much as you can about this stuff is a very essential part of understanding yourself and helping others to understand you. Chika is someone who tries to understand romance through as many means as possible, and I can relate to that. Hell, I talk about an astronomical amount of romance series on this channel and I consume far more than I talk about. So I get that. Although I can understand the story and the characters, I still don't fully get the stuff in real life. But that hasn't stopped me from trying, as I want to have a connection like that at some point in my life as well. It just hasn't happened yet, but maybe it will someday. But yeah, this was something when I was reading this manga that I never even really thought about before this part of the manga came up. I had no idea where my obsession with romance anime and manga came from, but I think I do now, so that's cool. I was able to learn something else about myself from this manga. Is Love the Answer is such a cool manga series that I didn't know I needed. This series did such a good job at portraying asexuality and the struggles of trying to understand it. If you are asexual or think you might be, I highly recommend giving this a read. Hell, even if you aren't asexual, I still think this is a really good read that will help you to understand what it is like for asexual people in the world. So that way, you can show them the kindness that they deserve if you ever meet someone like that. This manga was incredible, so just read it already.